Hey, what's going on? So here is the start of the hydroboost conversion. And also, if you haven't noticed, this is actually an AGR power steering rack. That's also a quick ratio, so this will help a ton to reduce any kind of steering play and increase that nice steering feel when we're out on the course. So over here you can actually see that I have already swapped the end plate. Here's the old end plate. So here's the new end plate. I'm actually upgrading to a 1998 Cobra hydroboost, and I already swapped the end plate, and that requires this special tool, which is included in the kit, and the Maximum Motorsports kit. And what simple thing, all you got to do is just remove one tiny little clip that is behind this dust boot. Probably see it in there, but I kind of already have everything assembled, ready to be dropped in. So just got to remove that one little snap ring and use a special tool to reach over it, take the nut off so you can take the plate off. Then you put the new plate, which you can see here, and don't worry about getting it on wrong. It's actually keyed, so it's impossible to get it on wrong. So you just slide it on, and you actually have to flip the nut over and use some Loctite that's supplied with the kit. So here's the Loctite that they supplied. It's actually blue Loctite, but we'll see how that works. There shouldn't be any issues, as I kind of did use an impact on it to really snug it down, and then you put your safety snap ring back on in case if it ever does back out, that snap ring will hold it in place. Then here you can see the sandwich plate. This will actually go inside the car and just kind of sandwich the firewall all together. That way it's nice and strong, so whenever you press the brake pedal, you don't get any kind of weird flex in the firewall. And so to install this, as you can see, it does require you to remove the entire pedal box, just because it's almost impossible to get to this bolt right here, so you can actually replace it with the new Maximum Motorsports upgraded brake pedal, which I will have to say, this is one seriously beefy piece. And the brake pedal itself has multiple adjustments. So not only do you have 4 holes here so you can raise it and lower it, but you also have these 2 holes right here on the top and on the bottom, so you can actually move it front to back, the pedal itself. So that will help a ton to kind of dial it in to where I like it the most, so I could should help me heel toe a lot better, and just overall help me and kind of improve my times on course, and when I'm out just driving, just make it a little bit more comfortable than these old ones. Also, it's nice to have this kind of like non-skid pad on here over these. Even though I do like this old school GT brake pedal, I'll thoroughly enjoy the new non-skid piece, because sometimes I have raced in the rain, and if you get any kind of water on your shoe, you just kind of slip all over the pedal. So in order to install this, you'll have to remove the entire steering column. As you can see what I did. It also helps a ton to remove the seat. And here's a sneak peek of how it looks afterwards with kind of everything disassembled. I also have the Maximum Motorsports, I guess you could say this is the clutch kind of pivot ball. I forget the name of it. Or the clutch quadrant. There we go. Clutch quadrant. But you can see how everything came apart. You just got to be careful with these old clips, and also you'll probably find yourself with just some random wires that somebody else probably in the past ran, like some speaker wires. Somebody trying to run their own speaker wire through the car. I'm probably going to end up pulling all that and redoing it, because right now my stereo actually doesn't work. I just use a little Bluetooth speaker, you know, because race car. But yeah, I guess all we can do now is just go ahead and start assembling the new brake pedal and get this all bolted back in. Okay, pedal box is finished with the new pedal in it. Here's what the old pedal looks like versus the new. All you gotta do is just swap out the bushing that goes in there onto the new piece so it fits nice and snug, and also bend this little tab out of the way to get this long bolt out. I think this is a little safety tab in case the nut falls off, the bolt can't back all the way out, so I bent it down, got the bolt out. Once I put it back in, I bent it back up. Okay, moving to the firewall. You're gonna have to bend roughly from this point to this point inwards using the tool, and just kind of put it on there, put a ratchet on there, and just kind of peel back on it and just work your whole way back. I pretty much mine have almost of mine done. The tool, it's all right, but I kind of ended up resorting to a hammer at the end. If you can't tell how it's a little bit beat, but I think it should work. I already test fitted it, fits, lines up nicely. So now I can move on and start installing the pedal box and getting the new hydroboost unit in here. Okay, so the pedal box is now in. Here, let me move this light. As you can see, we have all of the bolts in. A little bit hard to see. It is very tight in here, and surprisingly, there's a bracket that looks just like this in the kit. It's actually made out of billet aluminum. And I believe this is factory, because I don't think my pedal box has ever been taken out, just by judging of the hardware. But this one's actually made out of plastic. So Maximum actually replaces this with one made out of CNC'd aluminum, which of course is a lot stronger. Actually, here you could probably start seeing a form of a crack on mine, probably just from all the abuse. Or maybe just that's like where it was getting a lot of load, but it looks like a crack was starting to form right there. Anyways, so I actually used the sound deadener. It had a perfect imprint of the plastic one, and I actually used it to help me hold mine in. So I kind of ripped it out. I shouldn't have, but I should have just pulled the plastic sandwich plate out and replaced that one, and it holds it perfectly in place. so it lines up all 4 holes and the center one with the outside holes for the hydroboost. And so once I got that in, I had to slip this in just enough just so it could catch that plate, just so I could hold it in place, because I did rip my sound deadening out, which I shouldn't have. And then I got the pedal box in, and then I was able to manage to fully seat this in further. And of course, it did require a lot of wiggling back and forth. I actually needed to use a pry bar and kind of pry it out one way. Maybe there was a little bit more that I needed to bend in there. But once I snugged everything down, it kind of just wiggled its own way back in as I would tighten down the hardware. But looks like everything is nicely seated on both sides. So that is in. Currently I have mine still kind of hooked up. I kind of just bent it out of the way and just unhooked it from the bracket. These lines are junk anyways. I will be getting some more from Maximum. In the meantime, I'll just leave it in there just like that, just so it doesn't leak brake fluid everywhere. And once I'm ready, I'll either build some new ones or buy the pre-made ones from Maximum and start bleeding the front brakes, because you're actually supposed to bleed the brakes before you fill your power steering pump reservoir. Why? Because the hydroboost will actually hold some fluid in it, and as you pump the brakes, it'll start pumping fluid out of it. So as you're pumping the brakes and bleeding them and cracking the lines, you'll just start pumping fluid out of this back into the reservoir, overflow, and it'll actually make it overflow and just squirt out the top. So before you fill your power steering fluid, remember, bleed the brakes. It'll just save you a headache. I think that's mainly if you don't have the engine running. I believe if you have the engine running, you could probably just bleed them just fine and not have any issues there. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna keep going with it. Get the steering column put back in, get the seat back in, get all the wires hooked back up, and all the brake sensors put back on. So hopefully now this should be the more of the easy part, because that pedal box is one pain in the ass to install, and I'm looking at now, I forgot to put that bracket on. Anyways, I'll get that taken care of and get everything set up, and we'll see how she turns out. Okay, so I went ahead and tossed the entire interior back together, put the seat in, bolted it all down, got all the plastics back in, tucked up all the wires, make sure everything was plugged in properly, and just kind of buttoned up all the little things. And already noticing it looks a lot cleaner, and the pedal alone feels, here, let me get in this, it actually feels really nice. As with nothing currently plugged in, it already has its own spring back, which I really enjoy, because you can just pop it right off. I will probably actually, I kind of like where the pedal's at right now. I have it loosely set up, and with the gas, I feel like I can actually, I'll be able to properly heel toe now. So kind of might just button it up, tying up those bolts where it's at, or actually I may even go as far as just moving it down some. I kind of like the height up and down, but front to back I may just go put it on the front hole so it'll scoot it about another 1/2 inch back, and I think there it'll line it up nicely with the gas pedal. And here, I'll show you how it looks in the engine bay. Excuse the mess, but yeah, so here's how it looks in the engine bay. On another day I will be installing that AGR power steering rack and possibly even start making some of the lines. I will be making them myself. I don't believe there's any that will swap over to the Fox. There might be one or two that I could probably just buy brand new that'll work, but overall I don't think it will be very expensive to just go with some new fittings. I already have this one kind of made, so I could possibly reuse this fitting here. I'll have to order a new fitting for that one, but I should be able to reuse this fitting, just unbolt it. It'll probably be a little bit of pain, and make myself a new pressure line, because if I remember correctly, it has to go from the power steering pump into one of these, and then it comes out into the power steering rack, and then from there, of course, you get the one where it comes out from here, and you get another low pressure that comes out of here, and they will tee in together to refill the overflow tank, and then of course that feeds the pump. So we'll cover that another day, and also the brake lines, I'll be tackling that another day, kind of try and clean this up, try and make that look a little bit nicer. I don't know what I should do to make that look a little bit nicer. So yeah, so for now I think that's a good stopping point. Got the old brake pedal that is of no use, but yeah, so we'll cover the rest another day, and from there, if you guys like what you see, just let me know. If you have any suggestions on what I should work on, also let me know, because I am new to this. I'm super camera shy, so excuse if I stutter. And yeah, and overall, if you like the build, just go ahead and like and comment. Let me know what you like about it. Let me know what you hate about it. I'm always open to suggestions and some helpful criticism, because I'm kind of just doing this and learning this as I go. And if you learn something, let me know also. But with that, take it easy, guys, and go ahead and go fix something on your project.